Our family's a rodeo family. That's what we do as a family all the time. All the weekends in the summer are full. We have an outside ministry that Rusty and I do the church service at the rodeo associations that we go to.
God's opened up a tremendous avenue for us to just be able to witness to true just country folk. The morning of the accident, of course, it was right after church, and we were scrambling trying to get to Abilene to the high school finals. So we went on into the field that day, and we jumped on the equipment. And Chisum and Dakota's job were just kind of tweak the bales a little bit to line them up with that. They would go into my machine.
We was starting to straighten them up. We had about 6 stacked already. After that, we climbed on the thing, went to the next bale, and we jumped off again.
They went ahead of me and were lining up the bales, and somehow Chisum got behind me.
My dad got a bale in one of the slants, and I ran up there and got on it, and I lost my balance.
You know, it just happened just so quick.
I just saw him fall backwards, and of course I just screamed.
And when she screamed, I realized that something had happened, and by instinct, I just backed up, and you know, I got him again. At that point, I jumped off the tractor and immediately proceeded to get Dakota my cell phone where she could get a hold of Mom. I was on the ground with Chisum, just working with what I could do with him to try to put life back into him. So after Dakota finally got the helicopter started toward us, she comes towards me, and I truthfully had given up on Chisum. And I went to, the only thing I really truly knew to do was to comfort Dakota. And as I walked to Dakota to explain to her that her brother was gone, well, she had a look of determination in her eyes like, I'm not through with him, Dad. And I remember just getting down on the ground with her and just crying and calling on the name of the Lord. And I remember with my eyes closed, I heard Chisum start to cough. And then I frantically, you know, just thought, there's hope, you know, there's hope here.
Chisum arrived as a level 1 trauma activation, and what we identified included a collarbone fracture, had some rib fractures, he had small collections of air in his chest as a result of punctured lungs from the chest trauma, he had an injury to his spleen, and he had a pelvic fracture.
The response team was amazing. You know, they let us be right there with Chisum the whole time, and they were our kind of people, spoke our language.
Fortunately for Chisum, his injuries did not require an operation. He's monitored because of the spleen injury. There's a risk of bleeding, so he's monitored closely, and that was done in the intermediate care unit on the pediatric ward.
I think they had to do CAT scans every 2 hours, and they were bringing him in and out of his room. Well, Monday morning he rested so well in the pediatric unit with those sweet nurses.
You know, we pop in there about every 2 hours or so to check on him, see what he needs. You know, offering him the game cube, things to keep him happy. He really bounced back. I was surprised that he left as soon as he did.
Chisum was dismissed, I think, on the 5th day after his injury.
I think his follow-up appointment was on Tuesday, and Dr. Flynn saw him, and Chisum didn't let me take the wheelchair in. He walked into Dr. Flynn's office, and Dr. Flynn walked in just shaking his head, and he said, wow. He said, that's amazing. He's a tough little cookie.
I think Chisum's a classic example how the Children's Miracle Network affects healthcare providers across the spectrum. He's attended by an emergency medical service that's benefited in the past from the Children's Miracle Network. Then he's transported by AirMed 1, and he's treated in the emergency department, who has benefited over and over from the Children's Miracle Network equipment and training and such as that. And then following that treatment, he's brought to the pediatric unit. And so again, we have specialized equipment that's used, and we have some things that are may not be considered medical equipment that's been provided by the Children's Miracle Network. that is made to enhance the state.
Chisum is a miracle kid because he overcame a terrible accident that really could have been fatal.
When I grow up, I want to be a world champion calf roper.
You know, my hopes and dreams for Chisum is that he just grows up to be who God's called him to be. Chisum truly is a miracle, and it's a lot easier for me today to look at you and say, God's in the miracle business.